Hello, Geeks and Gamers. It's Jeremy, and I have a few things I want to discuss today. So, a few days ago, we got the announcement, the unexpected announcement, that J.J. Abrams is returning for Star Wars Episode 9. Now, I personally wanted Rian Johnson to kind of return after doing Episode 8, even though none of us have seen Episode 8. There's been a lot of positive buzz, and while I'm a big fan of J.J., and I love The Force Awakens, I really did want to see maybe Rian Johnson come in and finish off the trilogy, and he has more of I feel like he's going to be more ambitious with things. But regardless, we got JJ, and even though that's not what I wanted, when we got the announcement, I was actually pretty excited, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what JJ can do to finish off this trilogy, because he's a fantastic filmmaker, he's a fantastic creative mind, and this is going to be awesome. But it brings a bigger point up, and that's the reaction of the Star Wars community online. And someone tweeted this, and someone retweeted a comment that someone made, and it said, "No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans." And that is absolutely 100% correct. I have never seen such a immature, whiny, little bitchy fan base in my life. It's ridiculous how pathetic these people are. I don't understand why they hate the thing that they claim they love so much. I mean, we are talking about a fan base that has vilified the man that fucking created it in George Lucas. You drove the man to the point where he didn't even want to make film anymore. And he created this universe that you worship. What the hell, man? And then you have the original trilogy elitist, my favorite Star Wars fans. The Star Wars fans that feel like if it's not the original trilogy, it's a piece of shit. And they shit on the prequels no matter what. They always find a reason to hate on the prequels. It doesn't matter if they're talking about fucking lasagna. They'll figure out a way to incorporate how the prequels were pieces of shit, and they will start in and just demonize George Lucas and everything that he's ever done post prequels. It's just ridiculous. This fan base, the reason you aren't taken seriously is because of your behavior in situations that pertain to Star Wars from top to bottom. Now look, I don't love everything Star Wars. I'm not a big fan of Rebels. I didn't like Rogue One that much. But do I constantly whine and bitch and complain about it? No! I don't, cool, there's people that love Rebels. There's people that loved Rogue One. And that's awesome. That is continuing to enhance the universe and bring more people into the fold. I don't love everything Star Wars. But if I don't like it, I complain about it for like a few days, and then I just move on with my fucking life. I don't understand this need to continue to bitch and whine and moan about something that happened 10, 15 years ago now, where the prequel's at. And now with JJ gets announced, all of a sudden JJ Abrams is a bad director and The Force Awakens was a terrible movie. What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, the dude made the most successful Star Wars film of all time. Now I get that there's like 14 or 15 of you guys online that hate it, and that's cool. You can have your fucked up opinions all you want. But if you look at the overwhelming majority of people really enjoyed The Force Awakens. The overwhelming majority of critics loved The Force Awakens, and it made an insane amount of money. Don't give me your bullshit Transformers excuse. I don't need to hear that stupid-ass argument, okay? I get it. Transformers made a lot of money, and Transformers did make a lot of money. But they are critical disasters, and the fans, by and large, hate those movies when you look at online numbers. The Force Awakens has overwhelmingly positive numbers from fans and critics. So a lot of people love it. You don't. That's cool. But to say that JJ played it safe, or it was a copy of A New Hope, or whatever, like, please, just move on with your life. Just move on with your fucking life. You're not going to win this battle. The Force Awakens is a massive success on every single possible level. So with Star Wars fans, just please, shut the fuck up. That's really what you need to do. Just shut up, move on with your life. If you hate Star Wars so bad, go find something else to bitch about. I mean, like Battlefront, the new Battlefront's going to be coming out soon, and we all know how much Star Wars fans whined and cried and complained and pissed and moaned. Apparently, DLC was just created when Battlefront came out in 2015. Where the fuck you been for the last decade? I mean, just now you want to start complaining about DLC? Wake up. Go support Nintendo if you didn't want paid-for DLC and half-ass made games. Oh, wait, you were probably bitching about Nintendo, too. Like, the constant complaining. You guys, nobody takes you seriously. You're never going to shut up, and I get it. My video's not going to do anything to stop you from complaining. The point I want to make is that we just don't care, and we don't take you seriously. You're just a bunch of, like, annoying little children that if you don't get your way, you just crawl into the floor, and you whine, and you cry, and you piss, and you moan. We don't care that you hate the prequels. And the thing about the prequels, what I'm starting to see is those original trilogy elitists out there, the ones that just can't stop fucking bitching about the prequels, you're starting to get drowned out. And you're starting to see that the prequels actually do have a very strong fan base and a very strong following. It's amazing that we're getting so much prequel incorporation into the next Battlefront. And you're starting to see that those fans are finally starting to overtake the old guard, the original trilogy elitists that just think that if it's not the original trilogy, then it's not Star Wars. Whatever. Unbelievable that people still think that way. But hopefully, as the new fans continue to come into Star Wars, we can start drowning out some of these people that just, like, they want to complain because Darth Maul wasn't in the movie very much, but they worship Boba Fett? What? Now, again, full disclosure, I think the original trilogy is better than the prequels. I'm not saying that, because I think it is. But the prequels are amazing in their own way, and yeah, I have my own personal problems with them, but they created an entire generation of Star Wars fans, and to not acknowledge that is just unbelievable. So, and then Battlefront 2015. A hugely successful game, and I loved it personally because it was the closest thing I've ever gotten to the original trilogy. Which, why didn't the original trilogy elitist love Battlefront? Like, that was a love letter to the original trilogy. These fans are crazy. It's unbelievable to me. But anyway, I'm gonna go. It's football Saturday. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure a lot of you OT elitists are probably going to get in the comments and just destroy me, and that's fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that Star Wars is thriving. There's a lot of amazing things that we can look forward to, and while I don't love everything that Star Wars is giving us right now, I'm excited for everything, for just the overall world that we're getting, and the fact that there are so many different options out there. So anyway, you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Kathleen Kennedy is a despised person in Hollywood. Is the worst leader we have ever seen. He is the worst leader imaginable. Garbage. Unbelievable. You have ruined Star Wars. She does not care about the fans. She hates the fans. Garbage. You are nothing but an identity politics hire. You have ruined Star Wars. It's just unbelievable that the president of Lucasfilm continues to say, hey, the fan base that made this what it has been for 40 years, I don't care about you. Rian Johnson, you are full of shit. Is irredeemable to Star Wars fans. Period. I'm sure your parents were disappointed in you, and they still are. Thinks he's better than everybody else. Is a liability to Star Wars. He claims that he makes no mistakes. He says there's no criticism in his movie. He calls people names all the time. He dismisses everyone. You took over a pre-existing franchise with pre-existing mythology, pre-existing characters, and arcs. So no, you don't get to just walk into something that was created by other greater, better people and try to troll the audience. That is the problem. That is why Star Wars fans don't like Rian Johnson. At the end of the day, Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy allowed it, and J.J. Abrams did nothing productive in the process. Rian Johnson will never admit any wrongdoing because he is perfect. and this is why nobody likes him in the Star Wars fan community for the most part. Yes, there are people out there that like Rian Johnson, continue to like him, I guess. He is an arrogant jerk-off. Rian Johnson should have a restraining order against him where he can never come within 500 yards of a Star Wars production. You know, no, 500 miles. Let's say 500 miles of a Star Wars production. I've said that before. I don't remember specifically what I said, but for today, 500 miles, Rian Johnson, you cannot come near a Star Wars production for the rest of your life. If you have a family emergency, you need to get a court order that gives you clearance, and then we will still put high security around you to make sure that you don't bring your grubby little man-baby hands around this production. Disney is inventing an issue that did not exist, are trying to rewrite the history of Star Wars. Pretty much did everything they could to neuter Luke Skywalker, the great Jedi that we all knew and loved. Basically was nowhere to be found in the sequel trilogy. Wanted to push the legacy characters to the back, and they wanted to put these new characters that we have no interest in, we have no relationship with these characters, we have no reason to care about them, but they wanted to push them to the forefront. Have no respect for the mythology of Star Wars. They are using Star Wars for a social justice platform. They have been doing this since the moment The Force Awakens was announced. There are people that are going to pretend that they were offended over this because that's the downloaded information. Disney has sent the download out. The NPCs will download the information, and then they will pretend that this was a problematic name because that's how they all operate. They get the new information and they repeat that information because they are NPCs, non-playable characters in the game of life. They've shown their true colors because now they've shown an episode from with Luke and Leia with A New Hope, and they're basically just ignoring the fact that Han, Luke, and Leia work together to escape. They're ignoring the aspect of teamwork. They're ignoring all of that, and they're basically just highlighting the fact that there was a badass woman, and she took control. She took control over the bumbling, stumbling, stupid-ass men, and they make Luke Skywalker. This is worse, to me, this is worse than what they did to him in The Last Jedi. What they did to him in this show. And they're basically just trying to condition kids that are going to watch this. They're basically trying to rewrite history and condition kids to think that women are the most badass creatures to ever live and men are stupid. That's the message that they are sending with this. But while they are busy neutering all the male characters, they are also doing everything they can to hype up the female characters, because basically if you don't have a penis, you get elevated in this new Disney version of Star Wars. So we've seen the fact that Rose gets marketed more than any terrible character in the history of the movie business. Have we ever seen a character this terrible and this bad, objectively bad, get this much marketing? Unbelievable. It blows my mind. I can't understand it, but they want to continue to double down on this, so whatever. Me as a blind, naive Star Wars fan that was willing to support Disney because I am a Disney fan, and I was their #1 cheerleader when The Force Awakens, or when they bought Lucasfilm and then The Force Awakens was announced. I was their #1 cheerleader. I've always been a Star Wars fan. I've always tried to look at the positive side of Star Wars. And you've even lost me now. And I will never stop until you guys get your shit together, and I don't know if that's going to be for a long time. These people have no clue what they're doing. We do not want you to rewrite Star Wars. We want you to honor Star Wars. We want you to respect Star Wars. We want you to continue to build the mythology of Star Wars. We want you to get people at Lucasfilm that love Star Wars and that want to grow Star Wars, not people that are obsessed with race and gender and sexual preference. Those are the people that are running Lucasfilm right now. And it's continuing to be exposed every single day. And we are trying with common sense to come and say, Lucasfilm, wake up. Disney, wake up. You are killing your cash cow. It's dying. And at some point, we're not going to save it even when you decide that you're finally done trying to rape it.
because that's exactly what you're doing right now. At some point, we're going to be done completely.
The Last Jedi defenders. The Last Jedi defenders and the sequel trilogy defenders. The sequel trilogy people, the pro Last Jedi crowd, you like the sequel trilogy?
I continue to see them try to defend this movie by not actually talking about the movie. They love to talk about diversity. They love to talk about how shipping isn't a bad thing.
I don't care if you like the movie. I don't care if you're defending the movie, as long as you're defending the movie for the right reasons and not the social justice reasons. They don't love Star Wars. They love identity politics. They love social justice. They don't care about the mythology. I can't believe how desperate they are. It's so pitiful. But the reality of it is, I've very many times have I referenced the fact that I know people like The Last Jedi. But generally speaking, the fan base has declined to embrace this movie. You are not paying attention.
They don't defend anything that actually happened in the movie. All they do is defend the SJW talking points. And then, when you try to question them, that's when they fall back on the standard NPC talking points of, you're a racist, you're intimidated by women, and then they start trying to play the victim when you come back at them after they call you names. Like, this is standard for them, and it's happening so much. But what I'm also noticing is that the more I'm seeing this, the less support I'm starting to see for the movie.
Look, I like bad movies too. And as long as you can acknowledge that you like a bad movie, I don't really see a problem with that. But when you start acting like the bad movie that you like is actually a great movie or an all-time great movie, or you don't understand the overall perspective of what's going on, that The Last Jedi is a terrible, terrible Star Wars movie, and it has destroyed the mythology, it's destroyed the past and the future of Star Wars, which is exactly what Rian Johnson wanted to do. That is the truth about it. But the point is that I was always battling, and again, not that I had a platform, but I was always battling prequel haters because I stand with George Lucas. I will always stand with George Lucas. I don't care. I'm not saying the prequels are perfect movies. I've never said that. I think that I think the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones have a lot of problems, but I still enjoy the overall ideas in those movies. The execution is clearly a problem. Revenge of the Sith is a great movie, but the prequels honored Star Wars. They honored Star Wars, they grew the mythology, and they introduced an entire new generation to Star Wars that continued to support Star Wars. And that is different from the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy is not building upon Star Wars. The sequel trilogy is not growing Star Wars. It's not growing the fan base. It is absolutely not. It is bringing the social justice aspect into it, and all of these people that are obsessed with race and gender and shipping. That's what the sequel trilogy is bringing into Star Wars. It's not healthy for the fandom, it's not healthy for the mythology, and I'm gonna stand up against that shit all day long. I've even talked about how the sequel trilogy, the people that support the sequel trilogy, I actually appreciate the prequel haters a little more, because even though I really couldn't stand those people back in the day, at least they loved Star Wars. The same people that are against Rotten Tomatoes score and calling it invalid are the same people that are swearing by the StarWars.com poll. Congratulations. Congratulations. There's people that like The Last Jedi. Nobody's denied this. At least I haven't denied it. What I'm saying, though, is a significant portion of the fan base does not like this movie. And they are very, very upset about it. And the fandom has been broken by The Last Jedi. You can like these movies. I'm not saying you can't like the Disney movies. Maybe you weren't a big Star Wars fan before. Maybe you didn't really care about it. Maybe this is something you started paying attention because of the Disney marketing machine. I don't have a problem with that. Don't tell me that these are Star Wars movies, though, because they're not. They're Star Wars in name only. They're Disney's Star Wars. This is not George Lucas's Star Wars. This is not Star Wars. This is social justice propaganda is what it is. Does George Lucas regret selling Star Wars to Disney for $4 billion back in, 2012, I think? So, I don't think he does. I don't think he does, unfortunately. Now, do I think he does from a creative standpoint? Absolutely. I think he looks at the current trilogy and what's going on, and I think he absolutely regrets it from that standpoint, because George gave Disney an outline for 7, 8, and 9. And why Kathleen Kennedy's dumbass decided to throw that in the trash, I have no idea. When you have George Lucas's story treatment and you can bring in someone like J.J. Abrams to execute George's ideas, that is a perfect storm. But I guess it didn't have enough of her agenda-driven bullshit involved, so that's why she decided to move on to something else, which is whatever. That's another discussion for another video. But creatively, I think he does regret it. Why I think he ultimately does not regret this decision, though, is because of this idiot fandom known as Star Wars. Now, you all know what happened with him in the prequels and how the fandom turned on him, created documentaries, the South Park episode that we all loved. The South Park episode was hilarious. We all get it. But the problem was, the South Park episode back then was treated like memes are today on the internet, where people took it as absolute fact. Like, oh, George Lucas raped my childhood and he raped Star Wars, and that's just what I'm going to continue to believe for the rest of my life. Forgetting everything that George Lucas created prior. Forgetting everything that this man's genius mind has been involved with. Because he made a character you don't like and a movie you don't like, suddenly you're going to forget all the wonderful things this man has created. So, I think he looks at what's going on right now, and he says, man, I don't miss being the villain. It's almost like the Dark Knight. Like, you know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and that's exactly what happened with George Lucas. He became the villain, and for completely unfair reasons. But now we're at this point where we do have a legitimate bad Star Wars movie, and the fans can't be taken seriously because of all these idiot man babies that couldn't shut the hell up back in the day about the prequels. Like, 15 years later, these idiots are still crying about the prequels and whining and just attacking George Lucas. And it's like, you're the reason Star Wars fans aren't taken seriously, because you're just a bunch of morons, basically. I'm trying not to cuss, so I don't want to get demonetized, but whatever. You know what? Fuck them. Fuck those guys. Fuck all of you prequel man babies, okay? Demonetize me, YouTube. I don't give a shit. But yeah, so the point is no, I think George Lucas probably looks at this and goes, creatively, I don't like what's going on with Star Wars, but in reality, I don't want to deal with this rabid fan base that can't be pleased for anything. So, and that sucks. That really sucks. And it drives me crazy that someone like George Lucas can create all of the wonderful things he's created, all of the iconic things, all of the companies that Lucasfilm has been involved with, all of the movies, not just Star Wars, but so many other things. And because you make one or two bad decisions that people don't like, suddenly they vilify you to the point where you don't even want to be involved with this amazing creation that you gave us, you gave the world. And so it's funny because I bet a lot of the people, not me, but I bet a lot of the people that are complaining about The Last Jedi are the same people that were whining about the prequels. Now they're probably reversing that and going, yeah, the prequels just weren't as bad as I thought. No, they weren't as bad as you thought. But guess what? You whined about them for 15 freaking years. And now we're at the point where we have a bad Star Wars movie. We have someone that doesn't understand Star Wars involved with it. We have this idiot feminist woman running the company. But who cares what we say, because you idiots complained about the prequels all those years ago. So I think George is probably sitting back going, I couldn't please them. Not sure who can please him at this point. So I don't think George regrets it. But I miss you, George. I know a lot of people genuinely do miss you. And there is this Lucas magic that is missing within Star Wars right now. It's a tangible thing at this point. Go back and watch the original trilogy. Watch the prequels. Watch the Clone Wars. There's just a magic, the Lucas magic touch that is missing within Star Wars. If you go back and watch the Clone Wars, Dave Filoni was directing most of those episodes, but it was Lucas being there to oversee it and to sprinkle the ideas and sprinkle the Lucas magic. And that's why the Clone Wars are so phenomenal, because you had someone who had the directorial abilities like Filoni to sit there and maximize Lucas's ideas. And that's what JJ could have been to this new trilogy, but we have idiot Kathleen Kennedy, who all she cares about is her social agenda. And it sucks. But prequel fans, you got what you wanted. You ran Lucas out of town, and now we're stuck with Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson doing a trilogy at this point. I still think he's going to ultimately pull from that trilogy, but we shall see. But poor George Lucas. The man gave us so many incredible things, and this fan base ran him out of town. and now we're stuck with Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy. Congratulations, prequel haters. All that whining worked out real good for you, didn't it?
Kathleen Kennedy
raped a childhood.
Rian Johnson
Raped a childhood.
Disney
Raped a childhood.
And the sequel trilogy defenders
Raped our childhood.
Boom! Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, hey, fuck you and fuck this movie.